Hello, everybody. I hope you are all having a wonderful evening. And we're just going to try out this hobby streaming thing. Jeremy's running a little bit behind, so he'll probably join us a little later. But feel free to join in and then ask questions if you got them. Otherwise, I'm just going to be sitting here building fire dragons for however long I feel like doing it live on air. And hopefully, I don't stab myself with anything in the process while doing this live on air because the most frequent time where you hurt yourself is when you're doing something in front of a bunch of people. But instead of letting you all watch my hands, I figured you just all get to see my face because I'm not doing anything especially interesting. Just going to be building some fire dragons, folks. So come on, hang out, join in. I don't know. Listen to the ambient sound of cicadas in Chicago, if you can hear them on my microphone. And I'm just generally going to be doing build stuff and taking questions. Hey, Odyssey, I'm doing actually pretty well. I have not been as excited for the meta until today, and I think the meta is going to be in a much better spot thanks to the data slate today. So I'm pretty excited to see where things go. I have like 3 armies that are really exciting, and that's kind of cool. So we're building Eldar. I've got a Synthwave scheme and some models kind of primed and prepped, but it's a little bit easier to stream doing assembly or something like that than other stuff that I could be doing, I suppose. So instead you get to listen to me and hear clippers, I suppose, periodically. You know, the really fun stuff. Yeah, Strength 10 Riptides look really good. Honestly, one of my Tau locals is talking about bringing the maximum number of battle suits and broadsides possible and a triple Riptide and just kind of having a go at it. So you always know that Tau players are having a good time when they are excitedly talking about, fielding so many. And then Roy, Baneblades are great. Them getting a discount is great. I'm really amused that it's like a 50-point reduction on that package because you can now use Leontis to order Baneblades to do things better. So honestly, I can see just running a Baneblade and having fun at like an RTT. I mean, you could maybe make waves with one at a GT level event if it wasn't a huge population and you didn't think that a bunch of people were going to be pile driving you with 15 fire dragons or something like that. You could have a good time. I think Tower in a much better spot than they were. We'll kind of see how that plays out in the data as well. Because if we don't walk with the data, what are we even doing on a data run show, right? Oh, Floof. Your GSC will be fine. You're just going to have to play like 30 aberrants or something, right? Oh, man. Lo-fi beats. I don't even know how I do a lo-fi beat. How do I do a lo-fi beat? You want me to yell at my Google to play a lo-fi beat? Let's see what I can manage. Yeah, beatbox. You all want to hear me singing, all of you, while trying to hobby at the same time? I can barely handle conversing with all of you and hobbying at the same time, much less trying to like do some terrible, terrible off tune singing. I feel like I'm missing something. Maybe not. How dead are GSC? I don't think GSC are completely dead, is the honest truth of it. Host of Ascension is pretty dead. It seems like there's still some play in other stuff, but yeah, Host though, that one guy definitely just got murdered, straight up taken out. So it's really not very playable anymore. You could probably, they really seem to want people to be playing melee GSC instead of Host at this point. Thank you, Tom, for the $5 super chat. Chicago pizza is highly flawed, but StatsDad content is always number one. I personally think that Chicago pizza is amazing. And it may be flawed. Like, I think the biggest thing with people in Chicago style pizza is that they go to like Lou Malnati's or like Giordano's and are like, oh yeah, I've tried Chicago deep dish pizza. When in reality, they have tried like one of the most touristy versions of the thing. There's some really good places you can try deep dish pizza. If you talk to people who have lived in Chicago longer than I have, and I've lived here almost a decade now, I suppose, people really talk up tavern style pizzas like the Chicago pizza that Chicago should be known for. I have had tavern style pizza. It's also really good. Kind of depends on what you want, but it is a lot closer probably to what people normally would describe as pizza instead of lasagna, or deep or like a casserole, both of which are probably fairly accurate descriptors of Chicago style pizza. For Jonathan DeLeo, so people read a change on the, or rather read something in the Slate stuff from the app that was specific to the Trigon datasheet, where when it comes out of Subterranean Assault, it can't charge if you come out of Subterranean Assault within 6 inches. But since it has a very similar name to kind of like the thing that folks are doing, with tunnel snakes, they thought that it meant coming out of the tunnels, and tunnel snakes meant that you could no longer charge if you came down, which is not the case. But I'm going to see if I can get us some music real quick if I can. I just know that this is going to 100% get us like demonetized, which is probably fine. But What is life without a little bit of me doing a bad job with technology at the first thing? Stream safe beats. Right. It will just be me tonight, folks, but that's okay. I'm going to find us some stream safe beats so we can do this in a slightly different fashion. Let's see how this works. So that you don't only have to listen to the beautiful sound of my voice and can instead, well, there are potentially up to 2 cats. So painted and debased, painted minis and giving base takes on 40K. That's fair. That's a good one, actually. Media assets. I have no idea if that actually did anything. Oh, good. See, now there's lo-fi beats for you. Straight from StreamYard's, here's lo-fi beats you can use. If the whole thing gets demonetized, I will just cut out the background music later. I don't know why anybody would want to watch a live stream of me sitting here hobbying to lo-fi beats. But, you know, it is what it is. We're also just kind of testing this out and kind of seeing how it works. In the future, there will be more than just me hanging out here, so there'll probably be a little bit more conversing going on, which may help with some of that. But for now, y'all just get me for an indistinct amount of time. Oh, you're fine, John. If it gets demonetized, I don't care. This is just a hobby stream for you all to be amused and entertained. It's not a big deal. Hello, Lilithara. Thank you for joining our hobby stream, which is really just me sitting here chatting about nothing in particular. Kelly, the idea of doing an escalation league that starts at Rule of 1 sounds really cool without named characters. I wonder if eventually they'll move up to like allowing named characters and more duplicates of units as they move up to like a 2000 point level. It would be kind of hard, I think, to maintain a 2000 point league with only rule of one. That would be hard, especially if you're not allowed to take more than one battle line unit. That makes sense. That's a good idea, Kelly, for that league. 2 and 1 at 1250. That sounds like a good spot to be doing that. And Lilithara, I think Death Watch is where it's at after the points drops. I think people will be surprised at how significant those points drops look when, you know, a bunch of Indomitor kill teams are in their face or dropping out of orbit and doing stuff to them. You know, normal stuff that you do. Look, every army needs as much trash as possible. Just enough garbage to do garbage things like actions. Thanks. Have a good night, Jonathan. Enjoy watching the new Demon Slayer movie with the wife. I'm pretty certain, Kelly, that the entirety of that unit's war gear composition will be changing based off the preview that they had of the sprues and stuff like that. Because it looks like you only get one of a lot of the war gear options that people are taking a bunch of at the moment, which will kind of suck for people who have a bunch of those old kill teams. People like this enough and we get people hanging out, I will continue to do it every week. I'm going to alternate times a little bit and probably trade off with people over time, mostly because I do want our Eurozone people to also be able to watch these if they want. I do wonder because I'm not going to talk about the leaks that happened today. If people want to look at them, they can look at them. I know that they've happened, and I've heard enough that I know that they've split Scourges into 2 different data sheets. Whether or not they box lock the heavy weapons squad that I heard about, I don't know. I haven't looked at the data sheets yet, so I don't really know. It's not like I'm blissfully unaware and exist in a world completely devoid of the leaked stuff. We just don't talk about it in great detail. Yeah. As far as I know, the book has been spread around a little bit, and that's all I know. Nathan's Fun Friday sounds great. I won't lie. I was kind of hoping to use something like another tournament reference like what we do right now with our other shows. I thought about 3 color minimum for a second, just because that's like a pretty old reference, Ben. But I don't know. Battle Ready. Always makes me think, though, that some people are going to see Battle Ready in their Google or YouTube analytics and like pop in expecting this to be like some kind of military Rubra stream or whatever. Nathan's wooden spoon is probably the most accurate take of my abilities compared to the rest of the hosts on the show. Look, everybody's got to win a hobby prize sometimes. Sometimes you just got to be the person who wins best painted. Don't aim for winning, or you go for best overall by doing just well enough while also getting really good at painting. I've been really fortunate when judging armies for painting purposes to have seen some really beautiful armies. And like that is some real competition as well right there. Like you got to be doing really cool stuff to win best painted at like a major super major level event. Pim Fridays. I like it. That's a really good wooden spoon prize. A whole box. Although maybe also a bit of a curse if that wasn't an AOS event trying to get you in on a whole new hobby system. Seems a little cruel, really. Levers. Finishing a Wraith Lord sounds great. I haven't used any of them in any of my play so far in this edition, but I know that people love them. Historically, when I've done best painted, we've given like the equivalent of third place in hobby money. Whoa, they're not Chaos Dwarves anymore. They're like the Scions of Hashut or something like that, right? What colors are you painting the Titan, though, is the real question, Ben. I'm excited to see what Chaos Dwarfs look like. I am by no means, by the way, an expert, Joe, on Age of Sigmar rules. I have some Soulblight Gravelord models in my closet that are primed and ready for paint, but I have just not gotten around to getting like involved with our local AOS community around here very much. And all of my friends are very much on the 40k bandwagon, so there aren't a lot of people to play with. Ooh. Magnesium and red and white split shoulders and pauldrons sounds awesome. You'll have to make sure to post up some progress pics as you get colors on that Warhound Titan. That sounds awesome, Joe. I actually got into Games Workshop games originally in junior high, and it was with Lizardmen, and I bought into the game with a Lizardmen and Bretonia box like a really long time ago. And I think I played like a grand total of maybe like one game of Warhammer Fantasy because my friends and I loved buying and like list building, but didn't really play ever at all because we had the attention spans of gremlins at the time. For me, Kelly, I'm really thinking about using some of the AOS stuff from Soulblight as an excuse to run like vampires in a D&D thing or something. Especially because that dragon, the new dragon, looks like such an amazing centerpiece to play as like an ancient zombie dragon of some kind, or a like Dracolich or something like that in a campaign or one shot. I will admit it made me very sad too, because it also like eliminated the old kit from even being able to be used. I am currently assembling fire dragons to put on my paint desk a little later. I haven't fully set up a good hobby space yet with like a camera in it to show you all me painting, but I think for the next one of these, I will put together like a hand cam and some other stuff so you all can watch me paint and watch me hobby a little bit more closely. And then eventually I'll figure out a good way for maybe a push to talk, and I can airbrush and stuff and show you all that end of things as well. Just have to figure out how I'm going to set all that stuff up. This is like a real early first go at trying to just provide a space for people to like hang out and hobby. Kind of like when you have a buddy going with you to the gym, just somebody to keep you on track. I mean, if you want to hobby stream with me, Ben, you are welcome to hobby stream with me. Where should we post content related to this show? Oh man, content? Damn. That is a good question that I had not thought of the answer to. You can put it wherever you want, really. I don't really care. If you put it in a random thread in the Patreon Discord, I won't be like terribly concerned about it. There is no Discord channel for it yet. Maybe we'll just take over the hobby channel and it will just be this plus hobbying. But the plan is to do this every Friday, except I will not be doing it next Friday because I will be out of the country briefly. But I will be back to do it the following week. And we'll make some steady technological improvements for it. We may move it fully into the Discord as well. We'll kind of see how it works out. And depending on how much people like it and how many people join it from outside of the Patreon. So we may make hanging out with me a Patreon benefit. We'll see. All you guys would be seeing right now is me breaking my Fire Dragon Exarch's wrist point where I was gluing something together and putting it on. That's all you'd be seeing right now, by the way. For a man who used to do microsurgeries, I sometimes break tiny little models. Snorkel Matt. I thought a hobby session would be kind of cool. We do a lot of yammering about competitive 40K, and we don't really talk about the hobby aspect of things very often, and I thought it would just be kind of cool. I do love these new Aspect Warrior kits. What paints do I prefer to use? Magical Cabbage. So I am the man who buys paints from like a million different companies. I really like Pro Acrylic. That was like the base set. I also use some AK Interactive stuff. I really like the amount of pigment that they've got in their paints, and I really like some of the other stuff they do. I do a lot of oil paint stuff as well, which is quite fun. And Jeff, I am building fire dragons because there's nothing the world doesn't need in a night meta, or nightfall, or night September, or 3 months of nights to, want more Melta in your life, right? Everybody just wants a little bit more Melta in their life, and they definitely want to be the receiving end of it. But yeah, Magical Cabbage. I tend to use whoever I like most for any given purpose. So I'm, if I like a color or I see somebody paint something and really like the paints that they're using and how they're working, I will just buy those paints. I actually don't know, Lilithar, if that will be Eldar or not. It probably could be. Eldar very well could be at the top of the meta. They didn't receive like any nerfs, which is a lot. Nightavan, Jeremy is out tonight. He was not feeling well enough to end up coming in for our hobby stream tonight. So he is out for the evening. So it's just me. You just get Stats Dad. I wouldn't be surprised to see it be World Leaders and Imperial Knights kind of at the top. World Leaders were doing really, really good. And as I said on the kind of balanced data slate show earlier, I didn't anticipate World Leaders getting any buffs at all, and they got kind of a bunch of them. So we'll see how that all ends up working out. I also wouldn't be surprised to see Death Guard still doing really well. Oh man, when am I going to get a Votan army? I don't think I can fit any more armies in my apartment at this point, and I think if I tried to squirrel in another army Night of 10th, that my wife would kill me. So instead, I stick to my Eldar Triumvirate, the Knights and the Space Wolves, basically. And the Tyranids, because they're also there. But I have owned Tyranids for a very long time now. I agree, Captco. AdMech do seem very exciting right now. I don't know if that'll translate, and I am kind of dubious to anybody who tells me that they're going to be like the best army in the game. I have heard some people crowning them as one of the best armies in the game, and I don't know. I've seen so many false promises. You're right. I could do that Knight of Anne. I have a closet now set aside for my miniatures, which has like a bunch of organizing cabinets in it. I could just stick it in there. Nobody'd ever be the wiser. Just don't mind the fact that my wife is like right around the corner listening to me talk about this on stream. What? I don't think anything, Lilithar, about AdMech is cheap. Maybe in points, but definitely not in money. I do believe that is still the most expensive points per dollar army in existence. Miss Stat's dad, I think, walked around the corner. She's somewhere. Wandering. She's probably talking about the memes that she can hear. Or she's telling me she's listening to memes, rather. Gotta have a hobby, right? And yeah, probably still below the best stuff in the game. I think some folks are really going to surprise people whose only experience with AdMech was at their worst. I don't disagree that painting Call sounds super great. It is a very characterful model. Honestly, sometimes I look at some of the AdMech models, and I would start that faction in a heartbeat if that army had anything to do with the Horus Heresy robots. And some of the models in the 40k line are amazing, and Call is one of them. Votan do look really good, Austin. I wouldn't be surprised to see Votan at the top. Honestly, I think people are going to think that Imperial Knights are okay now, and they probably very much are not okay. There's still a realm where you can put out multiple -1 damage and multiple sustained extra AP models on the board for people in companions, and I think that will be the newer build that people are running. And Valor Strike isn't dead, I don't think. I think Valor Strike is just different. Honestly, probably better for people who were trying to play Valor Strike. Henry, I am really amused that you decided to stop in while you're at a wedding, and I appreciate it. The hot tub will be if you all make this a big enough stream, and then I will stream a hot tub occasion of me trying to model in a hot tub, sure. I don't mind promising that. It's just vague enough that I can make that number and the goal whatever I want it to be. I agree, Ben. Oh, 100%, Jeff. It is good that they removed just like the psychological damage that somebody being able to throw 3 big knights into somebody else's deployment zone turn 1 could do. I think it wouldn't be good all the time, but it would be good enough of the time that you would see people just doing it nonstop. The new World Eaters matchup, though, looks really bad for Knights. Being able to gas up Slaughterbound to like damage 4 and strength 12, I believe, right? Along with sustained and lethal hits. I agree with that. Yeah, you just drop Canis and you kind of just make the CP economy work however you want. I honestly was starting to see a lot of players even drop Canis before that situation, because I think you just weren't going to do the turn 1 thing to people as often. You were going to do it like turn 2 when people have to move out a little bit or let you take the board, right? And so, sure, you can sit in your deployment zone and hide all your stuff at the way back of it. Like, that's fine to me as like a Knights player, right? Right. And then if your opponent ever like deployed in like badly or uncautiously, you could turn 1 full tilt. But the threat of being able to full tilt on like, I think turn 2 is a big deal still. Like, you can still send a Knight 21 inches to be someplace inconvenient. There are some times where there are convenient ways to fight a Knight, I think, actually. There are some, like, I don't know. I always feel like it's convenient to fight a Knight when I can point 2 Vindicators at it. Does that mean I'm fighting it in person? No. I'm fighting it at 24 inches. Or 18 inches, or 12 inches. Or if I'm a World Eaters player from engagement range. Old Votann were such a funny army. The need to draw all of your laser lines across the table and like figure out how exactly you were hitting units was always very funny. But I suppose you also might be talking about pre-Codex Votann from this current edition. I actually haven't touched a Votann model since I went to LVO and played them without having ever practiced the army. That was not one of my brightest moments, but I thought I was just gonna have a good time. I went 3-2-1, so you know it was okay. Painted a yellow army? No. The advice I was always given for painting yellow was to paint a purple undercoat for the yellow to go over, because that would let you you'd really deepen the shadows on it. So you do white and then do a purple contrast over the top, and then do yellow from there. It would look good. But Ben Jurek sounds like he has painted a army yellow and can give better advice than I can. That's basically the other school of thought that I've seen for yellow, Ben, is to use browns as well. Yeah, I've done it with red and green before, is how I've done it, Ben, and it is kind of like weird magic, where after you put down the red, the green is gone, and you're like, I don't think I ever painted green here, but it seems to work. It is some color theory magic, like Chicanery. I will admit I'm a big proponent of following painters on Patreon and stuff like that. And I tend to get most of my techniques and stuff from there. So I had originally painted a lot of this army, Magical Cabbage, as a brass kind of elven army, but I'd done that with the old aspects, and I decided I kind of wanted to paint the new sculpts. And I decided to lean into a Synthwave scheme. So they're going from purple to blue to orange to yellow. And I'm following following the advice from some videos by, man, I should look up their name real quick on Instagram so I can tell you all the correct thing. Heresy for Heretics AU on Instagram. They do Instagram and then YouTube tutorials mostly for synth and that kind of audio wave and stuff like that, kind of colored schemes. And they do it with a bunch of different models, so you can kind of see a bunch of different factions painted that way. And I use that a lot. So yeah, the rest of the army now is being painted that way. And then for Jane Zarns and the Phoenix Lords, I have a kind of non-metallic metal-ish chrome thing I'm going to try. So we're going to see how that works out as well. Kind of keep them in the same wheelhouse for colors, basically. Fixing mistakes can definitely be hard in a bright color like that. You just have to find a good mid-range color to fix the yellow with, if you can find one. And just use it very thinly to go over any mistakes. It can be hard, though. It's actually funny, Magical Cabbage, is that I paint most of my armies in very bright schemes. The Space Wolves army, and they're all kind of off black. Gray are the darkest army that I'm painting right now. And they're being painted in like a full-on grimdark scheme. And Ben makes a really good point there. And yeah, Magical Cabbage. I definitely try to vary my projects a little bit. Otherwise, if you paint everything the same, you definitely can. If you're like love a color palette, you should paint everything in that color palette and just roll with it. I cannot do that. I would be a little bored after a while. But I know some people who paint all their armies the same and have a good time with it. Just not for me. Although I do have a propensity for painting really bright armies. Yeah, Nurgleman. The Grimdark Space Wolves are going to be a lot of fun. I have a bunch of materials to make really cool ice and snow bases for them. So I'm really excited about that. It is probably the most detailed basing kind of plan that I've ever had. So I'm going to see how well I can execute on it. Yeah, I like to do relatively small batches of things, Joseph. So things that I can usually finish doing like a whole set of steps before moving on to another step, essentially. Usually that's like 5 to 10 infantry-sized models and then like 1 to 3 vehicles for me. It does also depend on if it's something that like batch painting is a thing that I can do well. Like if I'm painting 10 of the same infantry model, it's very different than painting 5 and then 5 of another one, who might need like an entirely different process to them. Try to make sure it's something I can do like systematically, basically, like almost assembly line-ish at that point. But if I'm painting like a large vehicle, like a knight, I am doing that knight by itself because it's going to take all my time to get from one color step to the next color step. Man, getting Imperial Agents nerfed at this point just feels like you're being cruel. Like, dang. A good rule, huh? I think a good rule for Imperial Agents would maybe involve being like, I think like an orbital strike or something like that. Like if you want to make it very Inquisitor centric or something like that, like an orbital strike sounds kind of cool. Or just some kind of like, I feel like odes might be getting overplayed now, but I think that actually is like really in kind of like the inquisitorial wheelhouse, where you're kind of like, I need to get that guy in particular. And that feels kind of like a very on-brand thing for an Inquisitor to be like, catch that one. I don't know. Maybe there's like a warrant kind of feature because that's like the Inquisition's thing is like catching like Xenos and stuff like that, or heretics, like almost like a quarry thing. Honestly, the easiest thing, Magical Cabbage, to make them just like have a rule would be to give them reroll ones to hit or ones to wound or something like that. I think you could just go real basic with it and it would be fine. Yeah. I mean, you could give them doctrines. Honestly, I'm really amused at the idea of them having a bombardment thing. Yeah, the whole army has access to the Yamato cannon. Then you have to roll each turn to see if it comes back, like if it recharges or not. Or maybe they get the only counter spell in the game and they can be like, nah, you don't get to do that. A number of times per game based on the size of it. I think you buff Titans by giving them stratagems or like a melee profile or a feel no pain. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Joe. Counter target stratagem. Or ability. I was going to say stratagem or ability. Somebody could be like, yeah, so these guys reroll all hits, wounds, and damage into vehicles, and I'm going to shoot Canis. And then the Imperial Agents are like, but you won't. This is one of my 3 once per game because it's a Strike Force level. Just no, you don't get to do that. I always really liked the thought process, by the way, of like anti-fate dice, where you could replace an opponent's dice with a die, like a foretelling dice. That could be a cool thing. Call it like the Imperial Tarot or something like that. And you get to roll so many dice, and then you can replace your opponent's die roll with this die roll, and like make it a number of tests and things like that, like battle shock tests. Charge rolls, hit, saves, wounds, or something like that. The anti-fate die, basically. It could be down to that, sure. I think you have to make it so, like, if you're going to give somebody a mechanic like this, obviously, you have to make it, like, really limited. So that you only get to use it once, maybe twice. So that in, like, some of those key moments, you can bend fate in your direction. Or that, honestly. Force them to re-roll a successful roll. That's probably a little bit more fair. It does mean your opponent doesn't just auto-fail, but, like, you need to re-roll that 9 into another 9. If they're coming out of Deep Strike to charge something, you need to stay alive. Maybe they hit that boxcars on something. That's possible. It is possible that it would be too mean of a mechanic. It's why my honest answer is you just give Imperial Agents something pretty basic. Just enough so that people will stop asking for army roll for them. make them pick a keyword or something at the beginning of the game, like Chaos, Xenos, Imperium, or something like that, and they get rerolls of hit rolls and wound rolls of 1 into those things or something. But the Quarry and Oaths is kind of cool. Honestly, it feels like they might end up doing something like that. Is turning them back into like no longer a main book. But GW doesn't do that very often anymore. They fold it into something else. Honestly, if you folded Imperial Agents and Custodes together, I think Custodes get access to a bunch of cool stuff and like get to expand their book so that they don't have to like lean so much on their Forge World range. And then you also get a you also just get a fully fledged army for the Imperial Agents player. That feels like the least likely of all of these options, Joe. Is that they'll fold all the old Inquisition books back together. Caladius, yeah. I mean, they've got Terminators in the Forge World range, the Palace. They have the Venatari. Yeah, maybe they did. I think I was really excited when that book first came out because I thought that there would be like more options for it. And I thought that the execution task force should be really cool. I think we're all ignoring the truth, which is that I wish they would just bring Thanatars and really cool robots into 40K. I will say one of the nicest things about these new kits is they have all these color-coded things, so I do love them. Yeah, Jeff, I was recently building a Land Raider and was reminded how bad instructions used to be. Oh man, Magical Cabbage. It's the Incarn, and it's not even close for me. The Incarn was the single most frustrating experience I have ever had building a model in my life. Also, I'm about to build Corsairs. Please don't tell me they're that bad. Old metal Necron Rays were pretty bad. I have seen that kit. My biggest beef with the Yinkarn is actually that it has a weight point on this tiny little nub of a neck. And so all the weight of the model is like hanging from like a very small point of contact. And it just is so easy to break while assembling. Also, the energy chain is annoying because it doesn't, the instructions are pretty hard to follow at times when you're putting it together. And it sounds like this is going to be terrifying to assemble these things later. The majority, Joe, of my metal model assembly is from assembling old Tyrant Guard when they were those little, just straight up metal bricks. Like just a ball of metal. That's been my pretty sole metal model assembly experience. I think the challenge when I was younger that I remember was just like the mixed media models, like plastic to metal was always kind of a pain in the ass because some of those models just had kind of like weird weight distributions on them. So you'd end up with something where you're like gluing a small, like a metal piece to a relatively small piece of plastic and you just held it for an eternity. With the Land Raider recently, I had to use rubber bands to hold it together so that, and it still has like gaps in it, which is kind of annoying. That's the one with the metal sponsons and stuff like that. Mine is not that old one. Mine is the all plastic one. But it really, the biggest problem with it is that like the chassis needs to be held real tight together, was my experience with it. And if you don't hold it real tight together, the things like, why would I want to stick together without giant gaps between all my plates? And then you weep uncontrollably. It's funny because I haven't had a bad experience with Wave Serpents or Falcons on those kits. And we'll admit my only experience with BFG is the game, the computer game. Oh, for me, if I am the only person who's aware of it, I'm okay with it. If it's like the only a problem that I'm ever going to know about, I get over it pretty quickly. If somebody else can notice it, though, I have to fix it. For me, I have to fix it immediately. So I'm going to prime this Land Raider and see what it looks like real quick, and then kind of go from there. I leave the bottom of I prime the bottom of my tanks, Joe. I do not paint them, but I prime them. I will paint tracks. If it's visible exteriorly, I paint it. I will admit, when I paint judged, I've never looked at the bottom of somebody's tank before. Joseph, I actually have a wire rack set of shelves that my wife bought me for putting all my models on. She was like, "You got all this painted stuff. Stop putting it in drawers and let people look at it." And I was like, "All right." One day, though, it'd be nice to have some of those glass cases because I think they protect the models a little bit better. But I like the wire shelf. It's got some fun magnets and stuff on it. We've got a medal from Adepticon there from the Adepticon teams, things like that. So it's kind of fun. Also, a bunch of my models are magnetized, so they stick really well to it. The vast majority of my models still sit in a closet because not everything fits on that rack. But I think that's okay. We've had friends with little kids come over, and it's a little better that they're not all out on that rack because it'd be pretty jammed packed full of stuff. And little kids and animals and 40K models do not mix very well. Whew. All right, that is a 5-mana Fire Dragon built tonight. Everybody make sure you stretch, because if we sit here all day, at least I know I will. I will be sore as shit if I sit here in just locked positions for like several hours. Spoilers are next. Honestly, though, Ben, you are right. We should take a quick stretch break. Let's all stretch and get water and liquids and hydrate. Oh, geez, lightning bolts everywhere. To be honest, vast majority GW has like really stepped up their kit game, I think, even though not every kit looks like super characterful. I feel like GW's kits are quite nice, and some of the new releases, both from an assembly as well as from like a character perspective, have been really good. Like I recently assembled the Emperor's Champion, and that kit went together really well. But also, it's a nice kit. Oh man, that sucks, Austin. Ronan, I do run Pro Curl through an airbrush. I usually do it about with a few drops of thinner and then test spray it. It does have a propensity though for dry tip. In my experience, you have to make sure you're thinning it well. No worries, bud. Hopefully that helps. Flow improver as well. You can do both. You want a little bit of both. Well, thanks, Ronan. I appreciate that. I do. I have a fully assembled Lycus in ready for priming in sub-assemblies. Magical Cabbage, what I tend to do is I build like a fairly large amount of stuff and then do like a fairly large amount of painting and kind of see where I'm at. Sometimes I will build the whole army. But usually I try to batch it like out a little bit. Like I'll do 500-ish point chunks or something like that. For this, I'm going to do... I've got 4 boxes next to me of Aspect Warriors that I'm working through. Trying to get assembled for painting. I do hope we get Karandris again. I do wonder if that meme from 2.5 Men was true. Where they just forgot Karandris, or if not. But I do a lot of my practicing on TTS. So like having the models and the army ready to go and stuff like that isn't as important to me because I can play on TTS a little bit later. But I am trying to win one of the GTs that Chicago's got going on locally now. So I do actually have to get something painted and rolling, I suppose, for a change. How often do Chicagoans eat deep dish? Usually like once a quarter, or if family are visiting and they haven't had it before, we'll make sure to get it for them. It's like a thing to do. We usually order from Pequod's. That's my go-to for deep dish in the city. They're arguably the best deep dish in the city of Chicago, but I think we get it like once, maybe every 4 months. Every 3 or 4 months. Yeah, something like that. Are the roofs of my mouth okay? Sometimes. Not always. It's good to just remember that you gotta not eat the pizza until it stops, steaming a little bit. I will be honest, Detroit is also my preferred style, although I also do like a Neapolitan style, like a wood or the wood-baked pizzas are kind of nice, wood-fired oven pizzas, but Neapolitan styles are quite nice. I also like Detroit style quite a bit. There's a New York place called Prince Street that does like a pan kind of style pizza that opened up a location in Chicago that I like quite a bit. But it can get expensive to get nice pizza, is what I will say. Because we also live by one of the better Neapolitan places in Chicago. But when you're paying like $30-something for a pizza, it gets pricey. Honestly, a good piece of Sicilian style pizza also sounds really good. There's like a couple Roman style pizza places which kind of remind me of that style of pizza a bit here in Chicago. It starts with a B, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I mean, that's fine too. I'm not about to yuck your yum. If it's $100 worth of Domino's, that's your yum. That's fine. I too like buying a Pizza Hut meal deal box. Sometimes it's just about getting the food. THA turkey baster. THA. Joseph, I think the balance team has been improving across the whole edition, is what I'll say. I think the balanced data slates have gotten better over time. I actually think that this slate is probably the best that they've done so far this edition. So, I don't know. Steady improvement is fine by my book. They've been steadily improving all edition, and this one has been their best one. So hopefully the next one will be even better. I mean, I think one of the biggest things is that GW has decided to like do a quarterly balance pass, which is something they've never done in the past. They started doing some of this stuff back in 9th with an approach to balance, and it's just they've grown more and more kind of like systematic and scheduled about it, and that's been a big improvement. In previous editions, you might go like, because GW wasn't really invested in competitive play, you'd go like really long periods of time before balance passes, if one even happened. Like, there are plenty of horror stories from previous editions where things were just never fixed. Also, I will admit, Joseph, one of my favorite things is to ask people who used to play a lot of competitive play their horror stories of previous editions, or to tell them that there are people out there who really miss like 7th edition and stuff like that. And I told Josh Roberts that at an event once, and he got this really long look in the eyes, like I had unleashed very deep trauma for him before he told me about like D category damage and how it just auto killed units, and how you used to be able to do it with blast markers, and how stomps with things like Wraith Knights would do that type of damage and just instantly kill things in a byplate. And so there were lists about rushing Wraith Knights at your opponent and doing stomps, and you generate all these like giant blast markers of instant kill damage to things. The only person I've met who's missed that stuff is Innis, because Innis is a little crazed. I don't know if people flip tables, but people definitely were like having a bad time in those editions. Damn it. I'll fix that in a second. See, that's lore I didn't know about, actually, Lothar. I haven't watched that video yet, but I did see it pop up. I was like, infamous game, what is this? Somebody will have to provide me a summary for it, because I don't usually watch. I actually do not listen to or watch a lot of 40k content at this point, to be honest. I'm looking at Sark. Yeah, I will say one of the better and healthier parts of the game, especially more lately, has been kind of getting into a lot more of kind of like treating each other a little bit better. Playing by intent is one of those things that I've liked a lot and have seen a lot of more recently. It has its foibles, like everything does, but I have liked that, and I think 40K is generally in a much better spot now than it used to be. I started in 9th, so, well, very tail end of 8th is when I started playing 40K. And I've really appreciated the cultural changes that the game has undergone. I think it's really good for the game to be just in a better place overall. We've obviously still got room for improvement, though. It's a good question, Magical Cabbage. I kind of like the number of factions we're at right now. I think eventually we'll probably just get new factions because, like, Games Workshop adding factions gives them more ways to make money, I guess, right? And so, and people like new factions, I think, in the general sense. Kind of want them to make something kind of kooky and new, actually, as far as new factions go. There's like pictures of the 4-armed like fungus people in the book and stuff like that. I think that would be kind of neat. Yes, I agree that it also does make balancing just harder. If they made a really good Exodites or Dark Mech faction, I would probably sell something to start in on that faction. Almost assuredly, depending on what... It would depend on what Dark Mech looks like. There are some directions they can take with that army where I wouldn't be very interested, but... And Exodites are always kind of cool. Who doesn't love a good dinosaur? I mean, I can wake that cat up if you guys really want. He'll just be mad about it. Jameson, pay attention to your adoring public. No, you refuse. Exodites would just be a really cool faction, though. There's like a lot of room that Games Workshop could work in. I feel like, though, with condensing Harlequins in, that feels less and less likely as a thing that they'll do moving forwards, is making more elf factions. But maybe I'm wrong. It's true. Honestly, it could just be like a couple data sheets. I just wonder what they would fill, what niche you'd fill with some Exodites units. A kill team's a really good place for them, actually. Yeah, like a few riding raptors, maybe a farseer to go with them, or a warlock or something, like a little elite kill team like Raveners. Yeah, the new Nightbringer model does look great. I don't know how other people build models, but I build these things by clipping out each individual model, all of their components, and then putting them into little piles, and then cleaning them off with a razor blade to remove nubs. I know some people like sprue tools, but I use like the back or the front of a razor modeling knife to do stuff. Cats are a perfectly reasonable concern. These guys, Jameson and Bailey, are not usually going to jump up onto this counter or this desk. Yeah, the new Knits Combat Patrol is kind of weird. I don't claim to understand how that one works. It's kind of a mishmash of a bunch of stuff. Nothing wrong with that. It's just a little odd. GW's combat patrols seem to be all over the place in like the kind of units that you tend to get. Like the Space Wolf one is amazing. That's like a great combat patrol. It comes with all the staples. We are still vibing Isaac probably for another 45-ish minutes. Or however long my brain lasts. Or until I finish these 5 warp spiders. I don't know. Hopefully everybody's having a good time just hanging out. I would like to do more of these, so, you know. I don't know, man. Isaac, I don't know. Is IKEA furniture a hobby? That sounds like a form of torture. Combat Patrol tier list based off what, like how good they are at Combat Patrol, or based on how good they are for collecting Isaac? tell me the kind of content you want. Jeez. I won't lie. Rage with a Screwdriver sounds like a Rage Against the Machine spin-off band by their kids or something like that. How good are they at killing the avatar of Keon? I don't know. That's a good question. What are the avatar of Keon's statistics, characteristics? Grenades and nids will only ever be a stratagem, unfortunately, and only for psychic creatures, and only in that one detachment. Oh, shoot. Yeah. Most of the combat patrols, I think, would struggle into an Avatar of Cain. What's in this CSM one again? For Combat Patrol, you have to use the Combat Patrol data sheets. They basically tell you what you can take. Hello, Seth. Oh, I mean, if we're rating it by which combat patrol could, we should probably still operate under the assumption you're only still using the combat patrol data sheets, I think. You have children, Floof? Where are your children, Floof? Oh. Floof, I would like you to go see the New Day's morning outfits, and I think one of those would help you get through mourning your Gene Stealer cults. Like I said, go look at the New Day WWE morning clothes, and you will know what I mean. I think Gene Stealer Colts will be fine in the end. But does that even matter anyways? I think you just have to mourn for Host of Ascension. But maybe it's crawling in your skin or something. I just love eventually hearing Floof tell the truth, which is that the faction will be fine. But Floof being dramatic, water is wet, the sky is blue. That one's pretty good. I like it. Is it finally daytime for the Gene Stealer Colts? They're fine. I just want Seth to finally become Mad Doc Seth again, is all I want. I want to see Seth playing orcs again. It feels like Seth hasn't been a Mad Doc in a really long time. I could believe that, Seth. I could believe that DG is too bad of a matchup for orcs to overcome. Yeah, Death Guard is still going to be a very prominent and extremely powerful army. They got like like I said earlier on the hot take stream we were talking about the data slate, they got like 80% of the changes they needed. And some factions got 100 to 125% of the changes that they needed. Chicago continues to be the best city in the United States, Isaac, and there's nothing you can say to change my mind. It's very rare that you get a city with good public transportation, reasonable cost of living, and like being central to a bunch of stuff with a good food scene, good entertainment scene. Like New York has those things, but is too expensive to live in. And then if you go to like Los Angeles or something like that, they have no public transportation to speak of. But they have other great stuff and are hyper expensive. A lot of it is just that, like, Chicago kind of blends the three really well together. Yeah, I don't think Death Guard and Thousand Suns were handled the same either, and I think it kind of sucks for Thousand Suns, kind of getting the blunt of that. CK also kind of got the brunt of it by comparison. Death Guard just got points changes, which I find very kind of like a little crazy. I think Boston is a terrible city and nobody should live there or go there. That's where I rank it. I will say, though, the best sandwich I ever had was in Boston, so there's that. Look, with climate change, soon Chicago won't even be that cold. But yeah, like Chicago is cold during the winter. I won't pretend that it's not. Not going to deceive you like that. But I honestly think Chicago's the best city in the United States. Oh man, how would I balance Death Guard? I think the -1 save plague just needs to be changed. Is the biggest thing. Like, I think if you changed that by itself would go a long way to changing how oppressive Death Guard are in a lot of ways. I'm sure a bunch of people will hate me for saying so. Oh yeah, the wind off the lake in Chicago is super chilly. The wind chill is real. I will say that. Like, I think Death Guard just need 20% more stuff changed. Maybe 10%. I think, though, the -1 to saves plague is like just where you maybe start, where you do the touch, and that's kind of it. Maybe you change a little bit about how plagues work. And then Floof, you did ask a question. If I could swap one 40k faction and one AOS faction, which two am I picking? I think I want to bring Seraphon into 40k. I think that would just be really cool. Let's have a dinosaur faction in 40k. Who do we send down? I'll trade him for Votan. Votan can go be the, like, opposite tech faction to the Hasha Chaos Dwarves in AOS. We'll just have 4 dwarf factions in AOS, and that's it. What if the faction already exists and is just Chaos Demons? Can I just trade Seraphon for Chaos Demons? There are even more Chaos Demons in the Chaos Demons universe. We're already shoving them in their own, like... into all the Cult Marine books. Might as well put all the Undivided in the Chaos Space Marine book. Croakwood. Skaven could also be a really fun addition to the 40k universe, but I think 40k Skaven is just the Imperium, so... Croak can never die, is the truth of it. Like, even if they end times AOS to make AOS 2.0, Croak would still be there on the other side. I think that's a good change. It's actually kind of a cool suggestion. It's interesting because locally here, Joel, it's been like none of the retailers here seem to be able to sell old world stuff. And the AOS community buys it, but I don't see anybody ever playing. I mean, the truth of it is, Jeff, is that the Seraphon would have won the end times if the Skavens hadn't blown up their magic circle at the last minute. The lizards were ready the whole time. Look, when they meant aliens built those pyramids, what they really meant is that space lizards built the pyramids and then flew off with them when the disaster struck. Plastic just everywhere today. Well, The rats are the Saturday morning cartoon villain of Warhammer Fantasy, to be fair. They kind of always were. Not in like a bad way. I like Skaven. I think they're kind of a neat faction as far as like, and one of the more unique factions that Warhammer Fantasy and Age of Sigmar have. Like a lot of things have orcs and dwarves and elves and shit. Not everybody has magical mad science rats who are trying to blow up the moon because they think it's made of cheese. Seth, the moon is actually a giant bird's egg. That's why you're in bird medicine, right? I can clearly see that you are poking around the wrong sources and you are completely disregarding the declassified documents that show that the PSYOP was just to throw off the communists so they wouldn't be doing bird moon research. Just saying, it's full of birds. Yes? Hmm. All right, y'all. I have one more warp spider to build, and then I will be wrapping up. Of course they waited for a full moon. That's the only time you can get the whole thing. Otherwise, you just get a half of it. Or like a little sliver. Yes, stream. That was my wife yelling at me from the great beyond that I need to eat dinner eventually tonight. Don't worry, everybody. I'm going to go real slow with this warp spider. Let me know what you all got up to during our hobby hangout tonight as well. Love to hear what kind of progress you all made. Make sure to post it in the work in progress thread in the Discord. And if you're not in the Discord, please join it. Have a good night, everybody. As you leave for this evening. But well, welcome to the Discord, Joseph. Thank you for joining it. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the stream. This has been 3 hours almost of us just hanging out. Have a wonderful evening. Good night. Ample pie.